He's the most terrifying serial killer you've never heard of. Haddon Clark has confessed to several murders, but investigators say he could have over 100 victims. At the center of the mayhem, a cellmate of Haddon's that was able to get key evidence into Haddon's murder spree across America because Haddon thought he was Jesus Christ. Born Evil, the Serial Killer and the Savior, an ID true crime event, premieres Monday, September 2nd at 9. Watch on ID or stream on Max. Set your DVR.
We are
Cultivate.
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 Cultivate. We are Cultivate.
Hello and welcome to Ye Olde Crime, where we discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear. I'm your host, Lindsay Valenti, and with me is my sister and co-host, Maddie Stengel.
Hello.
Hi.
Happy belated birthday.
Thanks. All right. We are continuing birthday month, and this week we have a bit of a shorty, but a goodie. We will be discussing the Legend of Gelert.
I'm excited because I already forgot.
I figured. Makes things easier for me. So, information was pulled from the following sources: a 2021 North Wales Holiday Cottages article by Tom, Atlas Obscura, Gelert Tourism Association, Erie National Park Authority, Historic UK article by Ben Johnson, Land of Legends article, National Trust, Sherwood Primary School, and 3 Wikipedia links.
Nice.
And links to all of these articles will be included in the show notes. Want to be social with us? You can see pics from this week's episode, bonus content, and funny memes on X at Ye Olde Crime Pod, or on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube at Ye Olde Crime Podcast.
Speaking of YouTube, we have a special playlist just for our Can You Crack the Cramp Word segments with our guest podcasters to see who can correctly guess the meaning of some obscure Victorian slang terms. If that's your thing, check it out.
And I'm also realizing I didn't translate something. Fuck.
Oh, heck yeah. I love it when you don't translate.
All right, we'll see how I do with these.
I believe in you.
At least one of us does. We're big fans of dogs on this show, and I've always been fascinated with tales of famous canines throughout history. Granted, I can't watch movies with dogs when any of them die because I will spiral into a week of depression, but I digress.
I always imagine my dogs too, which makes it worse.
Yeah.
I'd be like, my dog would do that. He would save that little boy. No, he wouldn't. He doesn't know that boy, but like maybe. But if he did.
So this week, we're going to discuss a dog of mythical proportions associated with the village of Gelert, located in the heart of the national park in Snowdonia. Damn it, Lindsay, why didn't you...
Please keep all of this in. Damn it, Lindsay, why didn't you do...
Gwynedd, Wales.
Ooh. Snowdonia. That's a...
I know. Sounds fancy.
Mystical land.
Gelert, which literally translates to Grave of Gelert, as of a 2021 census, is home to roughly 460 people in northern Wales.
Nice.
And located in a valley where the rivers of Glaslyn and... translating that one more time, because I don't remember... Afon Colwyn meet.
Yeah, that would have been incorrect, I think, if you would have tried.
Yeah, it would have. Well, it's hard.
It is hard.
It is also home to a raised mound at a shady spot marked by a stone monument near where a castle once stood. And it is here that today's story takes place.
Oh my god.
Gelert, the wolfhound, had been gifted to Llewellyn the Great by the English King John upon his marriage to his daughter Joan. Llewellyn, who reigned as Prince of Wales from 1195 until his death on April 11th, 1240 CE, lived in a castle in the... I already said this, but I may have said it wrong, so I'm going to translate it again.
I love the chaos in this episode. It's now my favorite because it's got puppies and hard things to say.
Ereri, which is Snowdonia, I am discovering. So he lived in a castle in the Snowdonia Mountains.
That's amazing.
In County Gwynedd. And of all his dogs, Gelert was his most faithful and fearless.
Aww. He also reigned a long time.
He did.
That's a long period of time for any royal anybody. Dang.
I didn't look, and now I was going to try and see how old he was. Oh no, math. He was 67 when he died.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That's a good reign, you know? And that's a solid, that would have been really old during that time.
Yeah, and he assumed... Why did I just close that? Lindsay, you're so dumb. Why? You knew you were going to do more math.
That's why you closed it. Your body said no more math.
So he was 22 when he assumed the mantle of the King of Gwynedd.
That's a long reign, though. 40 plus years?
Yeah, that's a long time.
Good on you. Okay. Snowdonia was the place to reign.
It was. So Gelert would accompany his owner everywhere, and whenever on the hunt, he would lead the pack regardless of what their prey was. So he was like front and center. He's like, I got this.
He's like Willie in that way. Willie always has to be first.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it means that I fall. Willie must be first.
I am the star of this show.
I'm your guide dog, damn it.
The prince had a son, I'm not sure which one, whose mother, according to the legend, had died during its birth.
Okay.
As she lay dying, the prince promised her that he would cherish the boy, which he did.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he was like, I promise. Just kidding, I don't. This is
Just
a Cinderella story.
I fed him to my favorite dog. And then the wolfhound grew a taste for babies.
And then this became an animal trial story.
And that's how the Krampus was born. Oh.
Yeah. So it all comes together. Goes straight to the top.
Go straight to the top.
Now, other legends state that the mother, Siwan, was alive. But for the sake of the legend, we're just going to go with it. We're just going to take however you want.
All right.
So, one day, Llewellyn set out for a full day of hunting with his men, and he left his sleeping infant son in the care of his nurse and Gelert, who laid next to his cradle, keeping watch until his master returned.
Oh, so he actually didn't go on this hunt.
Yeah, so this was very unusual because Llewellyn had called for him, and he didn't come. And he was like, I don't know if I'm going to have a good hunt today because Gelert isn't leading the charge.
Yeah, he's not feeling it.
But if he's going to hang out with my son, that's cool. I'll let him do his thing.
Right.
So as he left, he instructed, quote, guard them well, Gelert, until I return, end quote. And in the legend where Siwan is alive and well and his wife, she goes with him on this hunting excursion. So.
Okay. So Mama needed to get out of the house too.
She was like, I don't know what we're hunting today, but I'm going with.
Right.
Mama needs some fresh air.
She needs to touch some grass.
Sweet, sweet grass. Now, while the prince was out, A wolf entered the chamber in which the baby and Gelert lay sleeping.
Okay, that's some straight up fairy tale fuckery. How
Right?
does a wolf just like hang out? Like how does just one wolf walk in?
Because apparently, in this time of year, whenever this happened, there was like a lack of game animals. So the wolf was very hungry, and they were very fearless at this point.
Mhm. They're bold.
We're being very bold. We're just going to go in and we're going to take whatever we can find.
Yeah, because I mean, wolves are smart too, so it waited until all of the scary men with the sharp sticks left.
And all the dogs.
Yeah.
But Gelert awoke and immediately leapt up to attack the wolf to protect his young charge.
Heck yeah, he did.
Now, during the course of the battle between the two, the child's cot was overturned and the room was destroyed during the scuffle.
Yeah. Having witnessed my fair share of just dog scuffles, that makes total sense.
In the end, Gelert was victorious and managed to kill the wolf, whose body he drug away from the young babe's cradle.
Dang.
The heavy furs that had once covered the young boy lay torn and strewn about the floor. Tapestries were torn from the walls, and the floor was covered in blood from both Gelert and the wolf. So just
Yeah.
absolute chaos.
Yeah, you couldn't decipher one from the other.
Imagine Llewellyn's horror when he returned later that evening to find the room in which his baby slept destroyed, the cot
Mhm.
overturned, and his faithful dog's snout and paws are covered in blood, even as he greeted his master with a spring in his step and a wagging tail.
He was like, "Look what I did, Dad."
Quote, "You wicked creature," roared the prince. "This dog
Oh.
has killed my son." And without further ado, he drew his dagger / sword and plunged it deep into Gelert's side. End
No,
quote.
he did not.
After Gelert let out a howl of pain, Llewellyn heard the sound of crying coming from the overturned cradle. And upon rushing over to it, he discovered his son not only alive and well, but the huge body of the wolf that Gelert had killed to protect him.
Oh, so he gave the body of the wolf to the baby. Like, look what I killed for you.
Mm-hmm.
And he still Why would you ever stab a dog?
Because he thought he killed and ate his son.
Then just like kick him out.
Quote, "As the dog lay dying, Llewellyn gently picked up his son. Too late, he turned to see the half-covered body of a huge wolf lying dead on the floor. Thanks to Gelert, the baby remained unharmed. Filled with remorse, Llewellyn knelt and gently stroked his faithful friend, and Gelert's tail thumped the ground slowly for the last time." End quote.
What the fuck?
It was said that the prince was so remorseful over his actions that from that day forward, he never smiled again.
Good. Fucker. I hate him now. He's the worst.
You son of a bitch. Today, you can travel on a footpath near the banks of the Glaslyn towards the stone monument that marks Gelert's final resting place. His tombstone echoes the legend by reading as follows, and there's an English version and a Welsh version, but obviously I'm going to read the English one. My Welsh isn't that great.
You need to brush up on it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Quote, "In the 13th century, Llewellyn, Prince of North Wales, had a palace at Gelert. One day he went hunting without Gelert, the faithful hound, who was unaccountably absent. On Llewellyn's return, the truant, stained and smeared with blood, joyfully sprang to meet his master. The prince, alarmed, hastened to find his son, and saw the infant's cot empty, the bedclothes and floor covered with blood. The frantic father plunged his sword into the hound's side, thinking it had killed his heir. the dog's dying yell was answered by a child's cry. Llewellyn searched and discovered his boy unharmed, but nearby lay the body of a mighty wolf, which Gelert had slain. The prince, filled with remorse, is said never to have smiled again. He buried Gelert here. End quote. Oh my God, there's more words that I didn't translate. Oh, fuck.
It's the curse of Llewellyn.
Curse of Llewellyn.
Yeah, why are we suffering? Jerk.
So what is fact and what is fiction? Well, I didn't go too deep down the rabbit warren with this, but according to his Wikipedia page, Llewellyn had up to 10 children, with 3 confirmed children with his wife Joan, who was the daughter of King John of England. The same King John that, according to the story, gifted him Gelert. Now, Llewellyn was 32 at the time that he married Joan, and it is known that he had at least one mistress named Tamwistil Gok, who passed away in 1198.
So this would kind of line up with the childbirth
Yes,
and how the mom wasn't present.
yes, because he was
And
with
also how
her prior to him marrying Joan.
Hmm.
Now, Llewellyn's son, via Tamwistil, was his firstborn son, and it is noted that its mother passed during childbirth. Still, Llewellyn wouldn't enter into a treaty with King John until 2 years after her death in 1200. It is possible that the events with Gelert took place sometime between 1200 and 1205 when the prince married Joan, but the child would certainly not be a baby at that point either.
Yeah.
So it's possible that Gelert was a full-blown dog at the time that he got him, and he was just extremely well trained and they bonded right away. And in that case, it's possible he could have been 2 years old when this happened.
Yeah, if you think about, I mean, Willie, for instance, it takes 2 full years to fully train a dog to do a job. So it would make sense that even back then they would kind of have a similar thing because it is just a maturity level of the dog as well.
Mhm.
And its ability to retain that kind of knowledge. And even a small child or a toddler could still be in a crib like state too.
Yep.
So
Especially if they're taking a nap. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, and it would make sense if it was the mistress's baby that he would have this assumption that his dog of his new wife, his new betrothed, killed his now pseudo illegitimate son.
mhm,
So that could make sense a little
mhm.
bit. And people care more about babies than toddlers. So it would make sense
Yeah.
that they would make it sound like it's more heroic saving a baby
Yes.
versus like a 2-year-old.
Now, the story of Gelert is also one variation of the urban legend known as the Faithful Hound. Now, this trope has been used in various stories and in a number of countries since its inception, such as that of a sheepdog protecting its flock in the Alps,
Mm-hmm.
a tame bear in Malaysia protecting its keeper's daughter from a tiger, and even the tale of a mongoose killing a black snake in India to protect a child.
I know that one.
So it's kind of like Rikki Tikki Tavi, except if Rikki Tikki Tavi was killed instead of
Right.
being allowed to live and be a member of the house. Now, when it comes to the grave itself, because in the story, he's buried outside the grounds of the castle.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the grave itself, it is credited to a man named David Pritchard, who in the late 18th century was landlord of the Goat Hotel in Gelert. And he thought that connecting the village with the legend of Gelert would increase tourism.
Duh.
And it definitely has. So
Yeah. Yeah, good on you, sir.
So that is the legend of Gelert, the faithful hound.
He didn't deserve it.
He was just being a good boy. The bestest boy.
Now I'm angrier that Llewellyn lived as long as he did. He didn't deserve to live that long. Big
After
old jerk.
cutting that poor puppy's life
Jerk
short.
face.
Although wolfhounds
Like,
don't live very long anyway.
no, but
But
even if he was 2 at the time, he could have had at least 6 good years left before his heart started to go.
yeah, because they typically live between 6 and 10 years. Although
Yeah.
most live between 6 and 8.
Yeah. Because
And it's
they're,
just because they're so big and their heart can't keep up with how big they are.
yeah, their heart is too far away from the tips of their toes. And so actually you can detect early onset heart disease in wolfhounds by their incessant biting and chewing of their toes because it's actually neuropathy.
Mm. If you love the show, the best way to support us is to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Good Pods, Castbox, Podcast Addict, and or Audible. Links to all of these are in our show notes, or if you're already listening on one of these platforms, you know what to do.
Oh, and while you're at it, shoot us a question you'd like to hear us answer on the pod. We'll give you a special shout out and address your burning questions all at the same time. The weirder, the better. Submit them via link in our show notes or shoot them to us in our DMs.
Sup, creeps, and welcome to Creepy Confidential. Is Mothman really a supernatural force predicting impending doom? Did Apollo 11 really land on the moon in 1969? Did you find out if that was a cult that was living just 2 doors down that you waved to every single day when you got your mail? If these are the things you ponder when you should be sleeping, then I would like to welcome you to Creepy Confidential. I'm your host, Noelle, your resident weirdo Wisconsinite. I open case files on my favorite cryptids, cults, conspiracies, and other worldly creepy, with new cases, live broadcasts, and local lore. Some stories have been lost with time. Others are perhaps still happening today in your local communities, right up under your very creepy noses. So get ready, creeps. It's Creepy Confidential.
This week's podcast plug is the Creepy Confidential podcast, Cryptids, Cults, Conspiracies, and Otherworldly Creepy Things. They are part of the Darkcast Network, and we will have a link to their show in the show notes. And this week's listener question is from Carrie Ann, and she wants to know, if you become serial killers, what would your names be? In an alternate timeline, mine would be like the Strychnine Seductress, where I would like seduce wealthy men and then kill them with strychnine.
I would have something with insulin in it because I would kill people with insulin.
And I'm assuming this would take place before I could just like very easily get caught by poisoning people with strychnine.
Mine would be like so super obvious unless I were to go back in time, like right when modern day insulin was like just invented. But then I would feel like trash because I would be stealing insulin from people that would need it. But you don't need a lot to kill somebody who isn't a diabetic with insulin, which I shouldn't say out loud. I don't want anyone getting any ideas. But fun fact, if you don't need artificial insulin,
Don't take it.
don't take it. It's not going to help you at all unless you want to seize and not exist anymore pretty quickly. It's a pretty scary way to die.
Yeah.
I don't know. The sugar baby murderess.
Yeah, there you go.
I lure you in with sweets and then I stick you with insulin and then you die.
There you go. And if you would like to submit questions, you can feel free to either slide into our DMs, you can email us, or we also have a Google form that you can fill out, and that is linked in our show notes. We'd love to hear from you, and there's a couple of ways you can reach out to us. You can email us at yeoldecrimepodcast@gmail.com, where you can send us story ideas, share any spooky stories you may have, fun gifts, or even just to say hello.
You can also reach out to us via snail mail. Remember mail? Our mailing address is Ye Olde Crime Podcast, P.O. Box 341, Wyoming, Minnesota 55092. Fun fact, we like to send out thank you cards with fun stickers you can't get at our shop, so it's worth the cost of a stamp.
So on that note, what is something good you'd like to share?
Well, I did get to see you today, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a good day when I get to see you in person. But my good thing, well, cannabis is legal here in the state of Minnesota, and I'm really trying to learn more about it. And actually, I kind of want to shoot like a pseudo question to our listeners if anybody is like more knowledgeable about cannabis and hemp and CBD and can help with like I'm just trying to figure out how to get the benefits of chronic pain and joint pain without so much of the head high. I'm not super interested in that. But I've been trying to do some research myself, which I'm finally getting little nuggets of now that it is legal in our state and we're able to do our own research with it. But my one good thing is just kind of being able to learn more about essentially a drug. Like I'm such a nerd when it comes to medications and how they interact in your body and half-lives and all that good stuff. So my good thing is kind of being able to learn more about it and exploring more and kind of figuring that stuff out. So something I really enjoy doing. And if anybody has any sort of recommendations at all that I can explore as a citizen of Minnesota, that would be great.
Remind me to put you in touch with Marge from the Bite Me podcast because she
Okay.
talks all about edibles.
Yeah, because that's one thing with me, like just because of my body, well, and my preference too. I don't like smoking. I don't like putting anything in my lungs, so I prefer to ingest. And I've noticed it's better with pain, at least in my body. It lasts longer. So, yeah, if anybody has any nuggets of wisdom, drop us a line. I'd love to learn more. What about you? What's one good thing?
I suppose I should give a birthday update first because I did last week that I don't know what I was going to do for my birthday. I met with Maddie. We had
Mhm.
breakfast together. We got coffee and she made me a lemon loaf, which was delicious and did not last long in my house.
That always makes me feel good. And it was like in the nick of time too. Like it had just come out and it was super fresh when we met to the point where like it wasn't solid yet. It was so it just like fell apart on the napkins.
It was warm and delicious.
It was so good with coffee.
It was. I got some fun gifts from my family, like
Mhm.
this adorable Groot
Oh, cute.
dressed as Loki.
Oh, funny.
I have a fun plan for what I'm going to do with him. It involves putting him in a planter with a bunch of like fake plants. But anyway,
Nice.
so that was my birthday. It was pretty low key. Thomas made me dinner that was really good. And this past weekend for Girl Scouts, one of the things that they wanted to do with their cookie money is they wanted to go horseback riding. And I got to ride a pony named Duncan, and he was beautimous. And it was really fun because I haven't ridden a horse in well over
Like
20 years.
since we were kids.
Yeah, it has been a hot minute since I have ridden a
Mhm.
horse. And
I don't know if I ever have. I've ridden a camel.
but yeah, it was really fun. We went on this like hour-long trail ride, and my horse liked to stop and try to eat a bunch of stuff along the trail. So I had to be like,
Nice.
Duncan, no, stop it.
I
You're
like
embarrassing me.
snacks.
So that was really fun. And yeah, that's my good thing.
Nice. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing.
Good thing. All right, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't be here without support from listeners like you. If you're interested in supporting us financially, you can leave a one-time or monthly donation over on Buy Me a Coffee or our Venmo page. Links are in the show notes. And we make a point of reaching out to send you a thank you note and stickers to show our appreciation.
Want to show your support in a more concrete way? Pick up some Yield Crime merch over at our TeePublic shop. We shout out whenever there is a sale each month, and we work to make sure we're creating new designs and changing it up whenever possible. And hey, thanks for listening.
And on that note, as always, I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Madison.
And we'll see you next time with another tale
As old as crime.